Welcome to Saving the Investor with certified financial planner, investment advisor, and insurance professional Alfie Townsend, president of Advantage Retirement Group.
Good morning, Southwest Florida. You're listening to Saving the Investor radio show. I am Alfie Townsend, Southwest Florida certified financial planner professional, here with Pastor John Antonucci, and we have a great show in store for you today. You know, a lot of times clients call us and they'll ask good questions, and I write those questions down. And we also get questions from students, and that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. We had, my son and I, Devin, went to Estero High School, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But we had some great conversation with some students, and they're Kevin Shell students, and we're going to talk about that. And it is Estero High School, and these are entrepreneurs. These are kids that are just, they're big dreamers. I love it, and we had a great time with them, and we're going to, talk about some of their questions that they had. But, the market, let's talk a little bit about the market this week. We've had some volatility in the market. The markets were volatile, and, you have inflation concerns. You do have interest rate concerns. Are the Feds going to raise interest rates? And we don't know. But Wall Street thinks that it's about a 95% chance that they will be raising interest rates. So we will wait and see about that. Now, we'll be lowering interest rates. We don't want raised rates, I can tell you that. But this will be in September. So there's a 95% chance the Feds will be cutting rates. But they're only talking about 0.25%. We need more than a quarter. We need 0.5% to start. That would be great. If they do that, the markets will take off. But you are listening to Saving the Investor radio show, and the phone number here is 239-747-1077, and text the word KIT, K-I-T, and you can get a plethora of information for with that kit. And just again, 239-747-1077, and type in the word KIT, K-I-T. And again, one of the reasons why the markets were a little bit volatile this week was Meta. Yeah, Meta is they have a lot going on, and they were the culprit, and this is the reason why. With Meta's hiring freeze, that really put a little bit of damper on the market this week. But they have spent a lot of money, John. They're one of the big companies that has put in more for AI than probably any of the other companies out there. Google is out there spending money. I would say Apple's the one that's falling behind when it comes to spending money on AI. But again, flip phones, they need to come out with a flip phone. That should help them. But they are using the technology of other companies like Google, but we'll see how that fares out on that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, the NASDAQ, S&P and the Dow, why don't you give a recap on that? Because basically the year is good. The week may not have been that good this week, and maybe a lot of people are starting to panic a little bit. Yeah. And, you don't want to pull out of the market. That's the worst thing they can do right now.
Yeah, the last thing, look, the market's been doing good. You have, again, the S&P is up almost, 9%, and NASDAQ is up, close to 10%, 5% for the Dow. And if you take it for the year, again, they're doing pretty good, 15%, 20%, and 7%. So overall, the market has done very well. And you got to remember, going back to this year, we were in a correction. We had over 20% down for the NASDAQ, and the S&P was down 16%. So all these gains this year, they had to make up all the negative numbers at the beginning of the year. I guess April, it was starting to tank, and then they had to make that up, and then they're still up. So overall, the market has been pretty good. But it's hard. People look at the market. I look at it differently. People look at the market, and if it's just going up, that's good. We love that when that happens. But you can't get think that that's the norm, because it doesn't do that. And the good thing about it, we were already in a correction this year. So usually correction is followed by a 20% up, and then and then the next year has usually a good year too.
Yeah.
So good news.
And with all that up, I mean, to people that are listening that haven't really rebalanced their portfolio, I mean, what would you say to them would be the important thing to do? Because they really don't keep they're excited in the euphoria of the gains, but really that could put them in a different mix, couldn't it?
Well, that's a good question, John, because when you're making this kind of return on your portfolios, then what happens is your risk, especially if you're a moderate risk, all of a sudden now, you have more equity than you really wanted for risk wise, and you're not really in your risk comfort zone anymore. So the next time we have a correction, you're going to go down a lot more than you really should go down because you didn't rebalance. We rebalance every quarter. We have one portfolio that we look at. It's called the Advantage Edge, and there's it's ran by our team here and our outside team, our partners. And what's nice about that one is we can take companies out. A matter of fact, we had taken out United Healthcare about a year ago, and in that time it had dropped 50%. So we decided, hey, it's time to put it back in, and we put it back in, John. It was, as we rebalance every quarter, we put it back in. It wasn't a day or two later that Warren Buffett said, hey, I'm buying a lot of United Healthcare. Anytime Warren Buffett says he's buying something, the stock goes crazy. It's already making money again. And they brought back their old president that had big success and really put them on the map, United Healthcare, dividing it up with the companies that they have. And they brought him back. And now things are probably going to start happening again. So these are things, and that's a good thing too, John, because our portfolios, usually, if you buy the S&P 500, you have 500 companies. You can't do anything about that. The companies stay in there. They might make some changes, once a year or so. But what we could do, we can make a change every quarter. If we don't like a company, we can take a company out and replace that company. And that's why this portfolio has been, it really has been beating the NASDAQ and the S&P. But typically, it is where it's in between the NASDAQ and the S&P in return-wise, but it's less volatile than the NASDAQ. So if you don't have, and this is called an SMA account, where we have SMA is a separate managed account. That means individual stocks. A lot of people don't even know what they own. They're looking at their accounts, and it has ETFs or mutual funds and stuff like that. You want to invest how people that have money invest, and you want to invest so you can see your holdings and you can make changes to your holdings if necessary. And that's what we do here at the Advantage Retirement Group. And we are definitely different here because we're gonna show you how to put a portfolio together, how to put an income plan together. But the other thing we're going to show you is how to enjoy your money, not just leave it in there and watch it. How about leave it in there, watch it, and invest it, and then take some money out for trips. And we're going to talk about that on the next break.
Yeah, Alfie has a proprietary portfolio that you can't get anywhere else, and you can get institutional pricing and be able to get involved in a portfolio and a program and a plan and a strategy that is second to none. Listen, you owe it to yourself to visit with him in Fort Myers or Naples. He has what's called a retirement simulator process. It's a deep dive into your current portfolio to see what's really going on. Really will expose all the hidden fees that could be eating up your returns each and every year. He's going to make sure that you're allocated properly, diversified correctly, that you're rebalancing, that you're not taking undue risk for the amount of return that you're getting. Listen, you owe it to yourself to take advantage of this retirement simulator process. He can only take 9 callers, 9 people this week, so be one of the first 9 callers right now. Pick up your smart device and text the word VISIT, V-I-S-I-T, to 239-747-1077. You can visit with Alfie in Fort Myers or Naples. He'll put his portfolio next to yours side by side, take you back 5 years. You'll see exactly how his portfolio would perform next to exactly how yours already did perform. And you can make decisions the best way that you can by seeing it on a great computer screen on a big board. Listen, Visit with him in Fort Myers or Naples. He is Southwest Florida's premier financial planner professional with over 40 years experience as a CFP. Text the word VISIT, VISIT, to 239-747-1077. That's 239-747-1077. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back right after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back to Saving the Investor with certified financial planner Alfie Townsend. If you're ready to take a deeper dive into the retirement strategies we talk about each week, we've got something special for you. Today, Alfie has 7 complimentary copies of his book left in the office, Making Waves in Retirement, available to you, our listeners. Listen, if you haven't picked up your copy yet, what are you waiting for? It's a roadmap to a fulfilling retirement, packed with valuable insights and real-life stories from investors Alfie has helped over his 40-year career as a CFP. That's why he named this broadcast Saving the Investor, to save you from the pitfalls, the schemes, the traps of Wall Street. But here's the sad news. We only have 7 copies left in the office today. So pick up your smart device right now and text the word book, B-O-O-K, to 239-747-1077. Again, claim your copy right now. If you haven't picked it up yet, pick up your smart device right now. Don't hesitate. Don't wait to the end of the broadcast. Text the word book, B-O-O-K, to 239-747-1077. We're talking about the market in review today, and we're talking about the fact that people, the naysayers, were saying tariffs were going to be bad for the country. Even those of us were sort of like walking on eggshells. We didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah. But there's reinforced investor confidence in U.S. manufacturing, and tariffs seems to be doing what they're designed to do, and that is to bring in a lot of money so that we can offset a lot of our spending.
It's to bring in money, and it's to negotiate. And that's exactly what Trump's doing with these tariffs. And Wall Street really did not know how to handle this. And they're living with it because they're liking it in a sense that it's bringing money into the economy. It's bringing money into the U.S. that we didn't have before. It's balancing budgets, and so this is a good thing. Now, some of the companies are saying, you know what, we don't really want these tariffs. So what we're going to do is we're going to open factories here. So it almost forces them to open up a factory here, and that's why there's trillions and trillions of dollars with a T that are coming here, opening up factories and opening up businesses so they can make their product here in the United States, and that's what you're seeing. So overall, companies are dealing with the tariffs pretty good. You also have, this past week, Trump met with, Putin, and then you also had the European Union, Zelensky. So, everything looked like it was going good, but then I don't think Putin is really looks like he wants to stop this war. He just doesn't seem to want to stop this war. But he doesn't, I guess he doesn't mind the millions of people that are dying in his country. It really, it's sad to see. So we'll see what happens there. But that is something that we have to keep an eye on, what that's going to do to oil prices, it could jack that up a little bit. So we'll look at that. But speaking of interest rates, it looks like, Wall Street is pretty jacked up that it is going to be about they're anticipating a 0.25 rate cut. Percent rate cut on, almost a 95% chance that happening in September. So that's good news. Now, what does that mean? That means that if you're about to buy a home, you're going to get better interest rates. If you have a home equity loan, it should come down a little bit. So this will spur economic recovery pretty good. Now, 0.25% doesn't do a whole lot. We need that 0.5% would be better. Now, remember, 0.5% would save about $150 billion of our interest on our debt. $150 billion, just a 0.5%. Over a percent is you're looking at $300 billion saved a year just on interest, just on the interest payment. Yeah, you would start fixing some. So that's why Trump wants this thing cut. He wants this thing cut so bad so it can just save. There'd be so much money that we can save and do with that money to spur the economy on. It just doesn't make sense not to cut it. Inflation is here still, but it's not going rapid like it was when Biden was here. So we have to look at the whole picture, not just part of the picture. I think the feds are just looking at part of the pictures, but there are sort of rumors going around that there's a lot of pressure on the feds to cut these rates. And so September looks like we'll have some type of rate cut. So hopefully we'll do that. And John, this week, you can tell them a little bit about what Devin and I did. Well, I'll talk about it when I was there, but Estero High School.
Yeah, an exciting time for you guys. We're at Estero with your good friend Kevin Schell. I know he's the director of Entrepreneurship Academy, and I know you spoke to 4 different entrepreneurial classes sharing real-world insights on business and success, and I know it was a meaningful day for you to be there. What were some of your thoughts and experiences coming out of there?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was pretty awesome to have my son there with me, and he spoke a little bit about AI, and then the kids would ask me questions, and they wanted to know how our success came, and they want to know all about business. They want to know, and a lot of them are there to learn more about business, and Kevin does a great job. Then the good thing about it is he has good leaders that he works with, and one of them is Ed Matthews, and Ed is the associate superintendent, and he was principal at South Fort Myers High School for years, and when he got this job, Kevin, his assistant principal was Jen Selleck, and she came over as a principal to this school. So this is a new position for her. So Kevin came with her to really start this class that's been very successful over at South Fort Myers High School, to bring it over here to Estero High, and it was just wonderful to walk into this class, and there's 30 something, almost 40 kids in one, another 40 in another class, 15 in another class. And these kids are very, very motivated, and they want to do big things with their lives. And, you think about kids, you hear about these kids kids in general, they're lazy. They don't want to they want to just stay at home and this and that. These kids, there's one girl, she's a sophomore in high school, and she's making $2,000 a month already working with autism. Yeah. And she's making $2,000 a month, and we had just people working at Publix, kids working at Publix. These kids are working. One girl, very sharp. She wants to have her own makeup company out there, and she works for a makeup Lancome, and she's very good at what she does. She trains, and she's she's 17 years old. So these. I think we're going to be just fine with generation coming up, because they care and they're savers. But what I was a little perplexed by is when Devin asked, these were the juniors and the seniors, how many in the room are using AI? And I would say less than 10% raised their hand.
Wow.
Now, there was one class that had a lot of ninth graders in there. They almost all raised their hand, but the older ones did not. So that was I thought everybody used.
We're using it.
I thought everybody would use AI. So that was a little different there. So maybe they didn't want to raise their hand to say, no, we're not using it.
Yeah, do all their homework and everything. Well, here's the fun part. Kevin had sent us 3 follow-up questions. And all the students that you got to speak into their lives this week are listening to the radio broadcast today. So we say hello to all of you. And they wanted Alfie to answer these live on the air today. So here are the questions they sent in. Number 1, what was the single most important decision you made that had the biggest impact on your life?
Yeah, I would say getting in the business, taking a step. One of them was an opportunity I had to move from Florida to Maryland, and it was a big opportunity, but it was a big decision, and my wife and I decided to go for it, and we did go for it, and everything that we thought we were going to have in that new move, we didn't have, but if the person that told me that I was working with at the time would have probably told me the truth on everything, I probably would not, probably would not have taken the opportunity. But yeah, you have to take. I was telling the class, and we'll talk more about this. But I was telling the class, John, that you have about 2 or 3 true opportunities in your lifetime, and a lot of people don't see them, or a lot of people talk their way out of it. Why it won't work instead of why it does work. So if you do have opportunity out there, and you think it's a true opportunity, just don't get scared. Dig deep into it and find out if it's a true opportunity or if it's something that definitely is not one of those 2 or 3 opportunities that you will have in your lifetime.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're listening to Saving the Investor radio broadcast, 239-747-1077. We're going to finish up these couple of questions that the students that Alfie spoke to this week. And then we're going to take your questions, those of you that are our listeners, right after that. But we want you to stay tuned. Listen, you can visit with Alfie in Fort Myers or Naples. Text the word VISIT, VISIT, to 239-747-1077, or go to savingtheinvestor.com. Again, that's savingtheinvestor.com. You'll find a wealth of information about Alfie, his company, and all the services he offers through the Advantage Retirement Group. Stay tuned. We'll be right back right after this break. Don't go away.
You're listening to Saving the Investor radio show. I am Alfie Townsend, Southwest Florida Certified Financial Planner Professional, here with Pastor John Antonucci, and we're going to be answering questions from a lot of our listeners. As a matter of fact, some are students, which is very exciting. So we're going to do that and talk about really the markets and what you should be doing and really what to stay away from.
Yeah, if you're ready to take a deeper dive into the retirement strategies we talk about each week, Alfie's got something very special for you today. He has 7 complimentary copies of his newest book, Left Making Waves in Retirement, available to our listeners. It's your roadmap to a fulfilling retirement, packed with valuable insights and real-life stories from investors Alfie has helped. That's why he's named this broadcast Saving the Investor, to save you from the pitfalls, the traps, the schemes of Wall Street. Listen, he only has 7 copies available. You can't wait. You can't hesitate. Pick up your smart device right now and text the word BOOK, B-O-O-K, to 239-747-1077 to claim yours. If you've been listening to us over the years and you haven't picked up Alfie's new book, Making Waves in Retirement, there's 7 left available. Pick up your copy today. Pick up your smart device. Text the word BOOK, B-O-O-K, to 239-747-1077. And Alfie, before we get to our listeners' questions, we have 2 more from students from Estero High School. When you spoke to them recently, they said, what daily habit or mindset shift has contributed to the most to your success?
Well, I would say a routine. And I've talked about this in the past when I spoke to groups. And any successful business owner or person, they have a routine. I don't care if it's usually a morning routine. And my morning routine, John, you know it for years and years, and it's been since 1989. I get up in the morning, and that's where I do my stretching. I'll do some meditation. I'm going to do also some, my push-ups, my sit-ups, and then my new routine I added onto it is take a steam and a cold plunge every morning.
There you go.
Yep, and that water is about 51 degrees, and
enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and I do it twice because I do the steam, cold plunge, steam, cold plunge. So I stay in it about 12 minutes altogether. But it's it really clears your mind, and it wakes you up. And it has, I just think the morning routine, it's so important for anybody to have. And I just love it. Like I said, it's been about almost 40 years I've been doing it.
Yeah. Well, your daily habits are important. And as you create those habits, it's going to create a destiny for you. The last question that the students ask, and I'm interested to hear this, not that we would want this to happen, but if you did lose everything tomorrow, what would be your first few steps to help rebuild?
Well, that's an awesome question, and it's a hard question to answer. But I would say as long as your relationships, that you have good relationships. I always talk about building good relationships, having good friends, and good friends are probably. My stepdad would always say your true friends are probably you can count them on one hand. And those are true friends, not just, hey, how you doing, buddy? Yeah, good. Okay. But these are deep friends like you and I, John. And so I would say, I would lean toward, on my friends to help me get back to success. I really would. And you got to be, I always said, you got to be nice to the people as you're moving up. This is another thing my stepdad said, because he says, because you will meet them as you're going down. Yeah. And so as long as you're good to people, you're nice to people, you can make it back and keep relationships and stay in touch with good people and surround yourself with great people.
Yeah, that's an excellent answer, Alfie. And savingtheinvestor.com is where you want to go to find out more about Alfie, his company, and all the services that he offers here through the Advantage Retirement Group. We're answering the listener questions today. And if you're soon to be retired or even retired, you owe it to yourself to go to savingtheinvestor.com and take a look at what Alfie has there that will benefit you in retirement, or even if you're close to retirement. One of our listeners last week asked, I am close to retirement. How do I invest without risking too much but still have room for growth? That's an interesting thing for people to really look at.
Yeah, and that's a real good question. And they have products now, and ETFs, and they have structured notes and tenders. They have things that we didn't have 10 years ago, even probably 5 years ago. And these give you opportunity to participate in the market return of the S&P 500. But as you're participating in these returns, they'll put limits on what you can make, but it could be 12% as high as 19% of the up. But what it does, it protects the down, the first 10%. Sometimes it's as high as 25%. You can get as high as 100%, but then you're not going to make any of the up. But if you know that you have 25% protected if it goes down, and as long as, and these are ETFs, exchange traded funds, but you're going to get 19% of what it goes up to, or 14%, that's a pretty good trade-off. So a lot of people are liking those type of things. So, that creates, helps you create wealth, helps you stay ahead of inflation. But what it does is it gives you opportunity to be in the game instead of sitting on the sideline. That's the main thing.
Yeah, very interesting. And another listener asked, everyone says wait until 70 to take Social Security. I mean, that is obviously the maximum amount that you're going to get at 70, but is that always true?
Yeah, it really depends. I say if you're just going to, what's the number that I usually, after all the research that we do, the number is typically full retirement. That's usually that 66.7 or 67, depending on your age. I would take it before age 70. It takes a long time. It takes like 13 years to make that money up if you waited to 70. So you do get a whole lot more. It does grow at 8% each year that as you're waiting. But the problem is you have to take the money out of something. So if you were able to turn on Social Security and get a good amount at 67 at your full retirement age, 66, then that's that much less money you have to take out of the portfolio to live on. So that's that much more money that you can let that sit and grow inside the portfolio. So these are it's not a simple question. We do have programs that we can help you with, but usually the full retirement is a great way to do it. The other thing too is if you don't really need that money, and your spouse doesn't have a pension, that way at 70 would be not a bad choice, because then you pass and then your spouse would get the higher of the two. So everything, there is more to the question than just that. It depends on your health, depends on your pension, depends on your money, it depends on if you have survivorship pension, and you're married, single. So these are all things that come to play.
Yeah, a lot of factors involved, and right along with that, with longevity planning, someone said, what if somebody's going to live 95 to 100, and it's happening now, how do I make my money last if I'm living that long, if I'm retired, actually more than the years I've worked?
Yeah. So to make that money last, you have to make sure you're keeping up with inflation. Make sure you're not too conservative with your money. If you're too conservative with your money's not lasting for you. Your money is getting eaten up by, and you can see that over the last few years, your money has been eaten up by inflation. Inflation is just, what it costs to go out to a restaurant right now. It's almost $100 a person. It's crazy what it costs right now to go to a restaurant. So you have to make sure that you're not too conservative with your investments, but you have to make sure that you have money growing to fight inflation and you have a good income plan. And a good income plan is one that's, pays that 8%. We have some that pay 12 and 15%. So if you're looking for some income, we have some great new strategies that we have here at the Advantage Retirement Group that you might want to, you do want to give us a call and say, hey, let me check that out because I'm only getting 4%. If we can give you income with less than, just think about this. If you needed $1 million, if you had $1 million and you needed some income, and if we can generate a six-figure income for you on $1 million, less than $1 million, then you have money sitting in there to invest also. So
there's ways around this 4% rule.
Oh yeah, that 4% rule is old.
Work, is it?
It doesn't work because that 4% rule. What happens is you're taking money out of your whole money. You're taking that 4%. But if we have a down market, then you're going to need more than 4% to give you that income. So let us show you what we do here at the Advantage Retirement Group. Your eyes will open and you'll like what we're going to show you.
Yeah, Alfie offers a plethora of different opportunities that you could step into that's outside of the regular norm. He is on the cutting edge of retirement, and one of the cutting edge things that he's done is he put together a high net worth toolkit, and it's specifically exclusive for affluent retirees and pre-retirees like those of you that listen to us each and every week on this broadcast. But listen, there's only 10 toolkits available. You want to pick yourself up one right now. Inside this toolkit, you're going to have a guide on tax reduction. You're going to have a guide on estate planning, large IRA strategies, charitable giving, and so much more. Listen, if you want to get your complimentary toolkit right now, you need to be one of the first 10 people to text the word KIT, K-I-T, to 239-747-1077. Don't hesitate. Don't wait till we go off the air. Pick up your smart device right now while you're listening to me and text the word KIT, K-I-T, to 239-747-1077. You want to pick up this customized high net worth toolkit, get it in your library, get it in your hands so that you can have strategies that will outperform the market with Alfie's 40 years experience as a certified financial planner professional. He's also a fiduciary, which means his responsibility is to you, the individual investor, not to any products or services that he does offer here, and he does have a lot of them at the Advantage Retirement Group. Also, go to savingtheinvestor.com. Again, click on that website right now, savingtheinvestor.com. You'll find a wealth of information about Alfie, his company, and all the services that he offers here through the Advantage Retirement Group. Stay tuned. We're going to be right back with more of your questions, so don't go away. Welcome back to Saving the Investor with certified financial planner professional Alfie Townsend. Listen, if you're ready to take a deeper dive into the retirement strategies Alfie talks about every week, he's got something special for you. Listen, he has 7 complimentary copies of his book, Making Waves in Retirement, available to you, our listeners. And listen, my question is, if you haven't picked up your copy yet, it's complimentary. What are you waiting for? It's your roadmap to a fulfilling retirement, packed with valuable insights and real-life stories from investors that Alfie has helped over his 40-year career as a certified financial planner professional. But listen, we only have 7 copies remaining, so you need to act now. Pick up your smart device, text the word book, B-O-O-K, to 239-747-1077 to claim yours. That's book. Text the word book, 239-747-1077, and grab your copy before they're all gone. We're taking your questions today from our listeners, and here's a good one, Alfie. If I invest too conservatively, won't inflation eat away at my lifestyle?
Yeah, you answered your own question. We can move on to the next one. No, you're right. You have to be careful how you invest. Some people come in and they think, look, I am a certain age. Should I invest for my age? And that's totally not, because I'll have people come in their 80s, John, that have a boatload of money, but they don't need that money. And I'll ask them a question. I'll say, are you investing this money for yourself or for your kids? And they said, it's to go to my kids. So I said, invest as if it was your kids' money already. So, and the same thing when it comes to investing to fight inflation. In order to fight inflation, you have to make more than what the interest rates are of inflation. So you have to invest not too conservative, because if you're too conservative, your buying power is going to be going backwards. So you have to be very, very careful how you invest. So what we do here at the Advanced Retirement Group, what we're going to do is we're going to show you income strategies that you won't need as much of the money, because the interest typically is quite a bit more for income. We have some 8% incomes, 12, and even as high as 15 for accredited investor. So if you don't need as much money to create the income that you need, then we can be a little bit more growth oriented on your portfolio. So these are all things that that we have to look at, put a plan together, make sure that we're keeping you in the risk that you're comfortable with, but also fighting inflation with growth also.
Yeah, great point. We're taking your listener questions today. You can go over to savingtheinvestor.com to learn more about Alfie and his company and all the services that he offers here through the Advantage Retirement Group. Savingtheinvestor.com. Go to that website, savingtheinvestor.com. A lot of people think in retirement that their taxes are going to be lower once they retire. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, sometimes it is true because they're earning a lot of money, usually when they're working. But I cannot tell you how many people talk to us and say, I'm making more money, that's been retired for 10 years or so. They say, I'm making more money now than I did when I was working. Crazy. And because you put this money in your 401ks, and now you have to start taking money out. So you have your Social Security, you might have a pension, you have interest income, you have investment income, and then you have this big $1 million plus IRA that you have to start taking money out of. And you weren't really counting for that. So all of a sudden, you're taking IRA money out, you have all this income and Social Security, and you're taxed more than what you were. So yeah, it could be that you're paying more tax out than you did when you were working very easily. I could see that happening.
Yeah, well, that's something that you want to look at. Alfie, we'll take a look at your current situation, and really, you have tax shelters and different strategies that can really protect them even in retirement, don't you?
Yeah, so we can look at maybe some Roth conversions, so you don't have to take so much money out. And I ask that question, what's this money for? Are you needing this income? And a lot of times we'll have people take their IRA money out before they have to take it out. So to get it, because if we can take income from that, if you have ordinary income, why not take it from that if you're needing money, and then lower that amount that you have to take out when you're 73. It used to be 70.5, now it's 73 and moving up a little bit depending on your age. So we want to look at all these situations where we can try to reduce the amount you have to take out of your IRAs.
Yeah, and then with people living longer, long-term care costs get to be something of concern for a lot of you that are soon to be retired or even currently retired. If someone needs long-term care, they want to know, could they cover it without draining their savings? Is there ways to do that?
Yeah, long-term care is something, and I mentioned this many times on the shows, that's how I started in the business, with long-term care, Medicare supplements, insurance. So this was back in 1983, and insurance companies really had to do something different, because people that bought long-term care policies back then, the rates it was very hard to get, number one, but the rates weren't supposed to go up, and then they started going up, and most people canceled it. Insurance companies said, you know what, it's not a moneymaker. We're getting out of long-term care. But then they said, you know what, our clients need long-term care. What can we do? So a lot of times what we'll do, we'll take bond alternatives when it comes to long-term care, and this would be an insurance product that would meet your required minimum distributions, your IRAs. It would meet your RMDs. It would give you lifetime income, But if you need it for long-term care, what this insurance product would do is give you double what you were getting. So if you were getting $4,000 a month income for the rest of your life, you would get $8,000 a month, even if your spouse needed it for long-term care. So if it's your IRA and your spouse needs a long-term care, there's things we can do to give your spouse the coverage also. So you don't have to buy it for both. Just, what you're doing is you're getting this added feature on this insurance product that makes sense for RMDs if you have to take required minimum distribution, bond alternatives, but more importantly, it gives you long-term care coverage and even home health care coverage. That means if you couldn't do 2 out of 6 activity daily living, it would pay for a physical therapist, a nurse, a LPN that come to your house and take care of you. And that's a beautiful thing, because you would want that then opposed to having to go into a nursing home.
Yeah, if you want to find out more about that, you can call the office here, 239-747-1077, or go to savingtheinvestor.com. We have time for one more, and someone who's been listening to you for years and really loves what you have to say on the air is asking, why would I need a second opinion if I already have an advisor?
Yeah, that's why you need that second opinion. That's why you need that second opinion. You just want, you want to make sure that what you have is right for you. You want to make sure that your advisor is putting you in things that are right for you, that are not high in fees, that are not high in risk. And you want to, and if nothing else, you see if your advisor has been doing a good job by you. And then that's what, we'll do, that second opinion. A lot of times I'll say, hey, look, you are doing very well. It's thanks for coming in, but you're doing good. Your advisor is doing good. But there's many times that when they come in, John, I'll tell them, listen, this is the reason why your account's not growing like you thought it should be growing. Here's your fees that you didn't know about. Here's what you're in, and this is why it's not working. And this is what we would do. And like you always say, John, we'll do a side-by-side comparison and show you with the same risk what we would do versus what you're getting. Is a beautiful thing when you see that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, this was a great show answering some of your questions, and Alfie has 7 complimentary copies of his book, Making Waves in Retirement, available for our listeners today. If you haven't picked up yours yet, what are you waiting for? It's your roadmap to a fulfilling retirement, packed with valuable insights and real-life stories from Alfie and investors that he's helped over the years. To pick up one of your complimentary copies, act right now. Text the word book, BOOK, to 239-747-1077.
Yeah, John, I like shows like this where you have questions, and these are questions from our TV show, our radio show, and really our students that we really go around helping with, with entrepreneurship with Estero High School. So it's love shows like this. And again, you're listening to Saving the Investor. I'm Alfie Townsend, Southwest Florida certified financial planner professional, and we appreciate you listening to our show. If you've never seen our TV show, it's called Saving the Investor, and it is one of the top-rated local shows here in Southwest Florida, and it's on NBC right after Meet the Press. It's 11 o'clock, 11 to 11:30. And you can see us. You can see some charts that you can't see, obviously, on the radio. And we appreciate you listening to us here every Saturday, 9 to 10, with Jake making us sound better than we are. This is Saving the Investor. Alfie Townsend signing out.